Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, how are we capable of living a meaningful life? How could we truly find the true joy, the true interior contentment in life? What is the way to receive it? And how are we going to make our life a work of art? And what is the guidance or the kind of orientation we could get from the teachings of Christ with regard to making our lives much more meaningful and much more artistic and much more creative? Now, let me read a very important passage from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 7, verse 7 to 12, and again from 16 to 20. These two passages are actually interrelated. I quote, "Ask and it will be given you. Seek and you will find. Knock, it will be open unto you. For everyone who asks receives, and who he seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened. Oh, what man of you, if his son asks him for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a serpent? If then you who are evil know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? So whatever you wish that men would do to you, do so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. You will know them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorns, or figs from thistles? So every sound tree bears good fruit, and the bad tree bears evil fruit. A sound tree cannot bear evil fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus you will know them by their fruits." Now, we also know, as a result of our lived experiences so far, in life, everything starts with a desire. Different desires we have, or different dreams, or different future plans and future goals we have. Even great projects eventually, the great projects originally started as some thoughts in our mind. Sometimes as a tiny little thought, it becomes a gigantic and a world affecting a project. So everything in life starts with desire. Now the secret is, as we grow older, our desires should also grow bigger and stronger. In fact, this universe, this fabulous, beautiful, enchanting, mind-blowing universe start as a thought in the mind of God. In other words, he desired this universe and it became a reality at once. Of course, when it comes to God, God desires are also His realities. When He desires something, it becomes a reality immediately. So in fact, you cannot separate His desire and its execution or its reality. They are one at the same time. Of course, with humans, it's different. With humans, since we are limited, since we are finite beings, we could have legitimate desires, but in order for them to get executed, it takes time. Sometimes it could take several years. Like a young man dreaming of having a house, building a house. Let's say he was 20 years old when he had that dream. When it became a reality, he was already 30 years old. So that means it took 10 years for its making. So that's all right. With humans, it's like that. Because with us, since we are developmental, since we are growing, it takes time for our desires to become realities. So that is what Christ is hinting at. We need to ask, we need to struggle, we need to wait patiently, we need to develop the virtue of hope, but not with God. But of course here we are dealing with human world, because God has no problem. He has no problem, He is perfect, He is self-sufficient. Therefore, we don't need to worry about God. We don't need to desire anything for God. He has everything. When it comes to our own desires, our own future dreams, or whatever we want to achieve in our lives, whatever the spiritual goals we have, we need to undergo a slow process. We need to knock at the door. We need to ask, we need to pray, we need to plead, etc. While doing these things, one is we must never get discouraged, especially if we really need that thing, whatever we are asking for. If we feel we cannot live our lives meaningfully without that thing, let's say a young man would like to be one day a poet, or he or she like to be a musician, or a writer, or a medical doctor, or a nurse. So by being a doctor or a nurse, that young man or woman would like to serve people, etc. So even when it comes to such desires, that person should keep knocking at the door, keep asking and asking and asking. Then what will happen, that positive desire, as he or she grows old, that positive desire also grows and it becomes stronger and stronger. With that, that person also discovers a sense of direction for his or her life. That's why desires are not mere desires, they also become part of our identity. So that's why Christ would say, you shall know them by their fruits. So we could know a person as a result of his desires, because they become part of his true identity. The trick is, or the secret is, we must connect all our desires with God. We need to accomplish them, we need to achieve them in God. In other words, whatever the future dreams we have, these future dreams, these future goals, these our desires should never take us or should never distance us from God, or they should never become hindrances between myself and God. In fact, all our future dreams should become bridges to God. So let's say a young man has 10 dreams about his future. That means he has 10 bridges to God, 10 approaches to God. So they should not take us away from God. They must bring us closer and closer and closer to God. So that is the most important thing when it comes to our future dreams, our future goals, and our future desires. The true fulfillment of our future desires can only be accomplished, achieved in God. Then, actually, what will happen in that process, even though I work hard for my future dream, another thing had happened to me. The other thing is I have also gotten closer and closer to God. And some people, those who have this experience, they realize eventually more than their achievement, more than their future goal or future dream, God has become more important to them. Because when we achieve all our future goals in God, eventually you realize, you come to this realization, this fantastic realization, now God is more important to me than my goal, my future dream. Of course we need such dreams, no doubt. Life needs, future orientations, no doubt about it, no argument about it. But ultimately, we realize the most important thing is not my personal achievements, however valuable and meaningful they are, but ultimately the most important thing in life is God Himself. So then, that experience make all our achievements meaningful, all our accomplishments meaningful. Because eventually, of course, when people are young, they don't realize this. When people are young, they don't have that deep capacity to realize it. Eventually, all our achievements cannot make us happy, cannot give us a sense of deep fulfillment. Although when we are young, our achievements are more important to us. We would do anything and everything to somehow reach those goals, and there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with committing one's life for such goals. But we realize no grand achievement, no gigantic or architectonic achievement or accomplishment could truly make us happy or give us deep joy or give us deep purpose for our life. There is something else, and only one thing can give us real happiness or make us truly happy. That is our deepening and growing relationship, and this intimate relationship, this intimate union with God. So achievements are ways and means to get closer to God, to experience God. And in and through these achievements, in and through our accomplishments, we begin to rely on God more and more and more. So one day, even if I am going to lose all my achievements, all my accomplishments, if someone takes them away, or if someone comes and destroys them, it doesn't matter to me. I will not be discouraged. I will not be kind of in a very depressed mood, because the one thing necessary I have accomplished, I have experienced. And that experience alone could sustain my life till the day I die. So in that context, in that background, we need to understand this passage. That's why Christ is saying, 7:11, look at his conclusion. How much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask? You see? So ultimately, It's a matter of our connection, our relationship with God. So God is the center of this asking business, so to speak. Not us, but God is the center. Not the one who is asking, although he is the receiver, he is the one who is working it out, praying and laboring, and then really struggling for that. But ultimately, the most important point is God. Whether that process of accomplishment taking me closer to God or not is the ultimate question. And also whether those accomplishments, those achievements, making my character, making my personality one that is pleasing to God, or one that experiences God continuously. And also whether those accomplishments are making me a magnanimous person. Like for an example, he is saying here, you will know them by their fruits. So every sound tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears evil fruit. A sound tree cannot bear evil fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So it's a matter of becoming a good tree that bears good fruits, as someone who becomes a blessing unto the whole humanity, unto other people, unto the creation of God. So here then, very clearly there are two things happening parallelly. We are asking for, praying and knocking and then pleading for whatever we want to accomplish in our lives. And on the other hand, the cultivation of our character, or in other words, the spiritual growth. So they must go together. Let us say someone has achieved a lot of things in life. He has become a very powerful person, a very famous person. He has so many world-class accomplishments, achievements, but he has no great character. He has not cultivated or developed or improved a magnanimous character. Then his accomplishments are kind of empty accomplishments. They are, in a way, they would become eventually meaningless, useless, kind of unproductive, because his or her achievements have not made him or her a great person or a great disciple of Christ. Then what will happen eventually? Of course, when people are young, they don't realize it. They don't feel this way. Eventually, when we grow older, we feel very empty. We feel spiritually arid. Because you see, we cannot take our accomplishment to our grave. When we die, we have to leave them in this world. We cannot take them with us onto our grave. That's why many people who are well accomplished, who are well known and world famous, who have everything materially and financially, feel deeply empty, because they feel they have not really done justice to their characters, their spirituality, and their interior life. They feel empty. Some of them, as we have heard, as we have read, even attempt to commit suicide in spite of their great and grand worldly achievements, in spite of their popularity, in spite of their being celebrities and world famous people, and in spite of people's appreciation and people's kind of adoration of these characters, because their inner lives have become empty. One cannot live one's life meaningfully without a very rich interior life. Even though outwardly you may be famous, you may have everything, but there is nothing interiorly that can sustain you. That is the problem there. As far as the fame and the money and the other worldly thing, you have everything. You see, these are outward things. You cannot go very far with these things. We need something internally. We need something solid interiorly. Something life-giving, that is like the sap that will sustain us. So when we don't have that interior thing, we cannot go very far, because true life flows from within. It stems from within. It should overflow outwardly. When there is nothing inside, it's like no fuel, no gasoline. You cannot go very far. Let's say it's a beautiful car outwardly, very beautiful, very attractive, but nothing inside. You see, then you cannot go very far. Then there will be a spiritual breakdown. So that interior fruitfulness, that interior richness, that interior self-sufficiency is very crucial. And we need to cultivate it as we accomplish things in the world, as we have a lot of future goals, future desires, future dreams, and we should also have interior accomplishments, interior achievements. If not, life becomes one-sided. Outwardly, we have a lot of things, we accomplish a lot of things, but interiorly we are absolutely poor. Life is not possible when we face a situation like that. So we need to cultivate exterior achievements as well as interior achievements. We need to develop exterior accomplishments as well as interior accomplishments. In fact, eventually, exterior achievements we need to leave. We need to say goodbye. But we can take unto our grave all our exterior achievements. We could show them to God when we meet Him during that grand beatific vision. So then life becomes meaningful, because one has done justice to one's interior life. If not, one is existing but not living, because no life will come out, no life will flow outside, because there is no life inside actually, only some performances, exterior, outward performances, some activities, some actions, right, in the theater of the world, in the face of other people, in front of other people we are performing, but interiorly I have become an empty vessel, an empty shell. One cannot go like that very far. So we need to take the advice and the commandment of Christ very seriously. Only these teachings will make our lives meaningful. Because you see, Christ knew about life more than anyone else. He is the creator of life, and He is the sustainer of life. He is also the redeemer of life. No one knows about human life the way Christ knows about it. Because He is the beginning of life, He is the middle of life, or the sustainer of life. He is also the end of life. He is the whole meaning of human life. So therefore, no one could know about life the way Christ knows. So if we want to live meaningful lives, if we want to make our lives a work of art, we should go to Him and listen to His teaching. He is the author of life. He is the master of all the situations of life. So if we do not pay attention to his teachings, if we do not take his teaching seriously, we cannot live a meaningful life. Our lives will be absolutely empty. Our lives will be messy eventually, and our lives will be meaningless eventually. So to take Christ seriously is to take life seriously. To follow his teachings seriously and faithfully is to do justice to our lives and to make our lives meaningful. So that was the purpose of this series about the commands of Jesus. They are not mere outward commands. They are not something we have to follow whether we like it or not. No. We are free. We are free, and out of freedom, we need to respond to his teachings. We need to take his teachings seriously out of our interior freedom. And the more we follow his teachings, the freer we become interiorly. And the more we make our lives according to his teaching, the greater joy we experience interiorly. So his teachings are at the service of human life. They serve life and they make human life meaningful. So regardless of our religious background, regardless of our nationality, our ethnic situation, our language, our culture, his teachings are universally valid, and his teachings are good for every person. Whether that person is a disciple of Christ or not, it doesn't matter. He is the author of all life. He is the creator of all life. He is the creator of every person. He is the redeemer of every person. Therefore, no matter who we are, we could gain a lot of spiritual sustenance from his life. So since no one knows about life the way Christ knows, his teachings are good for every person. And he came for every person, not just for a few Christians. Therefore, every person must be determined to get nourishment and guidance and enlightenment from his teachings. There is no way, no other way. The only way forward is for humanity is the teachings of Christ. So that is the purpose of this series of discussions, so that there will be life the way Christ lived his life. So then people will enjoy life, people will be living meaningful lives the way Christ lived his life. So let us make a resolution to live like him. Let us be determined to continue living our lives the way Christ lived his life. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all.